We are. Hey gang, thanks for joining me again here. So I've been painting since about 5 o'clock this evening. I really, to tell you, I really feel like I'm dawdling. I really feel like I'm going slow here. Of course, people come by and they say, I've been working on it. They say, finally, I go, wow, you done all that day? And I usually just smile. If I'm being nice, if I'm being good, I just smile. If I'm not being good, I give them some smart aleck answer. I try to be good most of the time. So, of course, I'm glazing now in oils, right? You know the drill. You regulars, you know the drill. I should point out that before I started glazing here, I took my oil sticks. You can see a green swoosh there. Orange, red, green, blue, red. And of course, most of that is going to get very subdued, of course, by rubbing on it, but not completely. You know, I can rub lightly and retain much of those streaks, or I can rub vigorously and essentially obliterate them. Now, here in this section of the paint, the big fat U, the dark area, was mostly cool when I finished, right? Mostly had kind of a blue tint to it, which I like very much. But I just put a warm, mostly oxide red, but with a little bit of alternate blue, so only slightly warm. But I put a warm glaze on top of the blue underpainting, which I call crossing the equator, crossing the warm-cool boundary, which almost always produces just a fetching look. When you do warm, transparent, we're talking transparent or translucent. When you do warm on top of cool, or cool on top of warm. Again, what I call crossing the equator. It's one way to describe it is your brain has a very hard time trying to name that color. Your brain just goes, you're really it's like, I don't know what color it is. It looks nice, and the reason is because your brain perceives layers and layers and layers of color, and your brain can see the cool layers, and your brain can see the warm layers. So the literal answer to the question, what color is that, would have to be gray-brown, mousy gray-brown. But that is so far from the reality. That's not at all what it looks like. Instead, your eye actually breaks it down into its seminal parts. You actually see the layers. Whoops, forgot my brush. I'm going to pick up a little bit of phthalo. Very dangerous in the glazing world, because phthalo is so powerful. So don't be one of those people though who forswears, that is, refuses to use phthalo. I've run a few on that. Because it's a staining color, so you have to treat it differently. As I'm saying, don't be one of those that because of that refuses to use it. It's a animal, but it can be pay. And you cannot get, in my opinion, a whole bunch of Mark Carter and a whole bunch of people like that, famous people, disagree with me, but you can't get away without a phthalo blue, in my opinion. If you're a scenic painter, you can have cerulean would be the closest. And for some reason, I'm not a big fan of what most manufacturers do with their cerulean, and they make it opaque-ish. I don't understand that, but they do anyway. So you need to make friends with paper. All right, now this area in here, I am not going to cross the horizon. It's warm, and I'm not going to make it cool. I'm going to keep it warm, okay? So there's a time to cross the horizon, jump the horizon, and there's times not to. And this is one of those not to. But all that warm stuff I just put in there, I'm now coming back and just painting with my eyes and saying, ooh, you know what? I need more of that warmth.
Artist right here. How you doing, sir?
Good, very good.
Yeah. My wife's an artist too. She's not.
Oh, good.
Yeah. You see that?
Very good.
How are you?
I'm good. What do you do?
All different mediums.
Good for you. Me too. This is well, actually, it's oil. It's acrylic underneath, and I just switched to oil. But the only thing that's oil is a real thin glaze, like the yellow and the brown. If I say it, if you didn't know what it was, you would be able to tell.
Exactly.
Even an artist. Even if I didn't know what it was, I wouldn't know.
You were thinking oil.
Yeah. So it's acrylic underneath, and I just switched over to oil.
Nice. Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
For that paint right there, how much you sell it for?
Well, I'm actually I'm doing a silent auction, and a sweet lady who knows my work came in and bid $500 already. In a gallery, this goes for.
So you online right now for the auction?
Yeah.
Okay, I got
Well,
you.
not online. But this is live. But yeah, I told the people online they can bid if they want to.
So what you use?
What? YouTube.
YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you bet on YouTube?
Yeah.
I never knew that. Thank you, sir.
There you go.
Yeah. Never knew
Are y'all
that.
from Raleigh?
No, we live in close by Fayetteville.
Oh, do ya?
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the big city.
I live, yeah. Oh, yeah, it's nice.
Glad we had nice weather for you.
My city bigger. We born in Brooklyn.
Oh.
New York.
Welcome to the small town. That's good. That's good.
Yeah. Keep doing your thing, man. I won't disturb you.
Thank you.
All right.
That's cute. There's some orange. Need some orange in here somewhere. The lighting out here has gotten really, really beautiful. You know, that evening sun like half an hour before sundown, I guess. Colors are all warm, glowy. Glowy, do you like that word? That technical term, glowy. All right, I think that's good enough. Now I'm going to lift out, lighten some stuff, especially. I love this, all that yellow there. It's just a little too dark, so a little bit lighter. Isn't that lovely? In my opinion, that is the magic of transparent color right there. During the break I took for tool acrylic and oil rock gas. There's right in front of me on the east side of the street. Right now I'm facing east, so the sun is setting behind Fletcher buildings, of course. But the sun, the building in front of me is mostly glass all the way up. Maybe you can see that down there. See that glass building? My umbrella's in the way. See that glass building? All right. So anyway, there. All of a sudden, this setting sun hit that glass building and flooded this side of the street with reflected light, and it was positively magic. I took several pictures with my phone. for a second, for just a second, I was so confused because I knew the sun was setting in the west. This is one of those days where the sun was setting in the west Monday, and I was so aware of that, and yet all of a sudden we're getting flooded by sunlight from the east. It's like, what? Oh, it's all reflecting off that building. That was fun. All right. At this point, where do I go? I can either do fuzz, glow, or I can do dark details in oil. And what I used to do for years, at this point, it was either dark drawing with dark transparent oil paints, either drawing with pencils. But then when the fuzz layer grew bigger and bigger and bigger, and sorry, I'm thinking. Yeah, no, that is what I want to do. Tradition, my tradition, which is drawing transparent, dark transparent. Anything, dark transparent stuff picks up some dark red, permanent rose, oxide red, which of course is brown, regular black, so I've got very dark green, and yeah, this is just part of my drawing, part of the painting process where I'm really trying to get into with my left analytical brain to a large degree, and just draw carefully. Just sort of think like a good drawer. Think, comparing shapes, comparing dimensions. Very different from the way most of the way I've been painting for the last 3 hours, which has been rather frantic pace or frenetic pace. Right? Now it's such like, put on the brakes. Whoa, slow down. And let's really pay attention to detail. By the way, my hand did something just a minute ago. I was mid-sentence, so I didn't interrupt myself. I usually do to change topics, but I want to mention it because it's likely to happen again. I think in the last several weeks, I have come up with a better description. It's not perfect, but some descriptors that will help people understand what it means to make interesting marks. Because, so you've heard me say, welcome, if you are, welcome. New regulars, one of my most oft-repeated mantras. The essence of good painting, and by the way, the essence of good drawing as well, is making interesting marks. Right? That is such a foundational, and for most people, revolutionary concept. The essence of good painting. Let's say the sine qua non. I'm not sure I'm saying that right. That's supposed to be Latin. It means without which nothing. You ain't got this, you ain't got nothing. This is sine qua non. Just the essence of good painting is making interesting marks. It's a beautiful mark. Look, the map opens up Pandora spots and philosophical spots. That's interesting, or interesting. Is making interesting marks. Okay, so far so good. That sound is so easy to say, but then of course very quickly into the journey you go, okay, Would somebody please tell me what is an interesting mark? And that is a very good question. No means an easy one to answer, but I've come up with at least a slight direction. Ironically, I cannot demonstrate. I can't show you this, and you'd have to wait for it to happen again. But I can describe it to you, and then hopefully together.
That's just so cool.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Good. Okay, now I just have to. All right. Sorry, forgive me for all my pauses and hesitations. I have job here. Quit bugging me. I'm trying to work here. Hard to describe that what makes a mark interesting. What is an interesting mark? But I've discovered that there is one pretty dependable description. And I want to say, trust me, you're not going to like it, but I prejudice you against it. So, here it is. If you're holding your brushes, holding your brushes. Sorry, y'all. Hang on. I've got a setting. I got more technical voodoo going on around here than you could possibly imagine. If I really told you guys everything that's going on, you'd be astounded at the crap that I have to deal with here. It's ridiculous. I'm not kidding. It's stuff that my phone is not supposed to be doing. This is malfunction. Anyway, sorry. All right. So, the art of making interesting marks. If you're holding your brush in one of the correct manners, there's many different okay ways to hold your brush. So I'm not saying you have to hold it just one way, but it does mean you absolutely cannot be holding it like this. Absolutely not. In fact, I know a lot of great painters allow you to hold your brush like this. I would even quibble with that. I think you should hold a brush side saddle, or anyway. All right, that doesn't matter. As long as you're not hiked up and going like this, all right? As long as you're not doing that. Then, interesting marks are the things, the marks that your hand brush, that your hand makes, movements. It's things that your hand does without your permission, if you will. And this is really important. And most of you really do need to pay attention to this. Because I know you guys, not all of you, but I think facetiously watched. well, it's going to stay here now. That's all right. That's all right. Nobody will know. Nobody will ever notice. Okay, I keep getting interrupted. If you're holding your brush in a proper manner, anything but the death control grip, then your hand makes, like mine is doing right now. If you saw that, that was a good example. But you can't do it on purpose. It's stuff that happens without your permission. Your hand makes little spastic, forgive me, I'm probably politically incorrect term, but forgive me, I'm an old school, I don't even want to know what the correct term is, but I say that with very affectionate voice. Little uncoordinated, incoordinated, spastic movements without your permission. Now here's why I'm even making such a big deal of this, is because most of you, as I said, I'm jokingly saying, I know you guys, I know you guys, I know what you're thinking. Most of you, when your hand does that, okay, one thing's for sure. If I'm ever going to do any good at broadcasting, I need a live producer to be here out in the field with me. I've been talking to you guys for the last hour. It was brilliant. It's the most brilliant stuff I've ever shared online. I promise. It was dazzling. It was spectacular. It was deep. It was funny. And then I discovered none of it was broadcasting. So I'm kidding about all the adjectives there. But it was fun. I had a great time talking to myself. Sorry you missed it. As you can see, I'll zoom in here. Pretty much the outline of all that part of this building over here. Having lots of fun doing it. I'm sorry. I'm not sure when I lost you, actually. It's a while back. I'm liking this pretty much. When you go out plein air painting and a scene, you're looking, trying to figure out what to paint, and a scene, a view, an angle catches your eye. Here's how it feels to be the artist who's doing that. Very often, you're not exactly sure of what it is about that particular scene that has captured you, has caught your eye, has captured your imagination. Many times, you don't even know what it is. Okay? First of all, I want you to know that that's pretty normal. But it's also a weakness. That sound is bad, eh? The more conscious, the more aware, literally aware you can be of what was it in that scene that arrested your gaze even for a moment, and hopefully if you're going to paint the scene, it's it arrested your gaze for more than just a moment. All right, and the more conscious you can be of that, the better. And I will tell you that I am capturing very much. It's the old world, not literal old world because we're here in America, but it's federal style Grecian columns, big marble blocks, classic architecture, bathed in secondary light. I think is the main thing. This whole scene, by the way, is secondary light. The closest we have to primary light is sun hitting this building, all that yellow, right? That's primary lighting. But beyond that, there's bouncing everywhere else. All the warmth you see here is bouncing off of that, and I think I am accomplishing that, and it helps very much to have that awareness, so that in fact you can know whether you're hitting your target or not. That's not the right way to put it. You can aim better. That's what I should say. It's not whether you are accidentally hitting your target. No. You can intentionally aim for your target. Okay, so what attracted me the most, as I said, was secondary lighting. And combined with what I'm going to call classic architecture. We don't have a lot of this 19th century marble classical architecture in Raleigh. My wife and I had a trip up to. My nice bald head is totally in your way. Let me move you guys. We had a trip a couple years ago. I guess 4 years. Coming up on 4 years. Up to Toronto, Canada, land of my birth. And I had the worst case of architecture envy I've ever had in my whole life. I just walked around crying. I'm happy to report that I'm not being literal. But I was walking around downtown Toronto. Toronto is part of Canada. And Canada, was of course part of the empire, and never had a revolution the way the United States did. And it's a part of the Commonwealth. So it has
Great art.
Thank you, sir. It has a much higher percentage of old world influence in its architecture. I don't know if you Canucks know this or not, but just that English influence, English as in England, very old England, the 19th, 20th century Victorian and classical stone architecture. There's some cities in America, in the Northeast, where you get more of that, certainly than here. But now it really bumps up. Then when you go over to Quebec, my goodness, then not only is it old world, it's like what? David, you're coming here. It's like 17th century old world. It's like old world. Right, that's probably too much detail. I think I just overdrew that thing. What do you think?
It's like one of these buildings. I don't know if it's the Plein.
There we go. So I just messed it up. That's all. It's much better. We're just going to leave it that way just for now. These are rows. These are benches here. By the way, I don't know if you can tell what's going on. And then next to the benches, there are big stone abutments that are actually part of the security of the federal buildings, of the buildings. These were all put in after 9/11. I don't think most people, especially now, they don't even think about it. They're just, attractive decorations in our downtown. It just happens to be decorations that weigh multiple tons that are bolted to the ground. Rather heavy decorations. Anyway, I don't need to capture all of it, but for the sake of my fellow Raleighites, I do need to capture it because people in Raleigh, people are familiar with downtown, know what downtown looks like. Hey, Uncle 60. Looks like one of those clay pottery stick tools. My wife uses those to do her pottery. Oh, yeah, my brush that I was using. It does. So, and then there's greenery in here. That's probably enough right there. I don't need to. These big, they're only 2 feet high. I got them a little bit too tall. That's all right. There are trees, interspersed with trees. Trees have square planters around them. Anyway, I just want to capture really the essence of this shady streetscape. And then this bench here, yeah, is several yards away and is facing the other direction. And we're going to put people here. And they're facing away from us. Yes. Special. All right. Well, you guys, somebody tell me. I'm so sorry. I was, like, as I said, I thought I was broadcasting for a long time, but I wasn't. I will get this down eventually, I promise. Were you here was I broadcasting when I was talking about interesting marks, and that one of the best ways to describe interesting marks is it's the movements that your hands, the involuntary movements that your hands make, you know, that make you mad at them. Was I broadcasting any of that? As you can see now, it's completely dark. Well, I mean, it's dark outside. I mean, downtown, so it's not dark where I am. But I'm either going completely from memory now, or the photograph on my backup phone, which I haven't used yet. It's there. If I want to look at it, so far I haven't felt the need to do that. Very low, no kidding. Doggone it, mysteries abound. Oh, I know what's going on. Sorry, battery volume is still low. Let me fix this. Okay, you guys tell me if yeah. Testing 1, 2, 3. Get my monitor up in just a second. Sorry, I'm Thanks for laughing at me. Blank canvas. That is the best response. Is it, Jason? Oh, and now I've got bleed through from another app, a ghost of another app. Let me turn that off. I don't know if you heard me say earlier tonight, if you guys had any idea how many screwy, crazy, technical, I mean, I'm talking things that are not supposed to happen. I'm not just talking about me. I have enough mess ups of my own. There's no question. But But then I have mess ups that are, so to speak, not my fault. I usually don't complain about them, but I am now. Oh, all right. I think it's time for me to do something different. I've been taking pictures of people a little bit, not enough, but a little bit off and on through the evening. People walking up this sidewalk. Oh, there's a real nice. Well, let's go ahead and tackle them right now. Tackle them. Do you like that language? It's a man, and I really was in the mood. This is just such a nice, peaceful summer evening scene that I said, man, I'd really like to do this family with baby stroller. So sure enough, there's my family with baby stroller. Big, broad-shouldered guy. Short, just looks normal. Looks like ordinary people. I just threw my phone on the ground.
Very nice.
Thank you.
If you don't mind me asking.
Sure.
Does the location, you being right here, mean anything? Or just like
No. It's that right there.
Oh,
absolutely,
it is?
yeah.
Okay.
Now, it's hard to tell because the sun's down.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And
No,
I saw you pointed this way.
No.
PC building. Weird.
That's cartoon painting.
Okay.
If the canvas is this size, you never face what you're looking at.
Okay.
I'd burn twice as many calories
Oh, turning around.
going like this all day.
Okay, that makes sense.
So when it's this size, I just go like that.
Oh, okay.
Plus, I paint, believe it or not, so people can see what I'm doing.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Absolutely is.
Thank you. Oh, there's some cute girls. And I think they noticed me taking the picture. They were pretty far away. I was using the telephoto lens, but still, I think, that motion, that the thing that people do when they're taking a picture with their camera is pretty distinctive. And so when they got just a little bit close, Uncle 60. I actually do dogs not doing their business, as you suggest. But I do actually do dogs not infrequently. So I've got all these people. Yeah. There we go. I've been thinking these people were coming toward us. I now realize that if I make them going, if they're coming toward us, they're a little bit too, they get too much psychological attention. But if I make them going away from us, then they're actually ushering us into the scene. So, whew, that was close. Yeah, much better. Much better. So quite a few people in this painting. I've talked about painting figures in scenic paintings quite a bit before. I'll repeat just a few things. One, as far as body type, remember, unless you're trying to communicate something like, for instance, that this was, grandpa's day out or grandma's day out, unless you're doing something that you're intentionally trying to show old or overweight or, arthritic people, unless you're doing that, which I would hope most of the time that is not what you're doing. I mean, that could be appropriate, old folks on parade or something, not parade, on leave, out for their weekly adventure or something like that. That's appropriate for a downtown scene. But most of the time, admit it with me, most of the time that's not what we're doing. Most of the time, the figures in your paintings are just supposed to be, I like to say it this way, people. Not any particular people, just, people. Good. Thank you, Susan. I'm glad that wasn't completely wasted. Oh boy. If your goal is to indicate ordinary people, people, people. If that's your goal, then your people need to be skinny. And here's where this, if you don't understand this, if you're arguing with me, because you're wrong. You can say, yeah, you're part of that body shaming, making girls shame their bodies, and no, I'm aware of that, and I have daughters and granddaughters myself, so I'm aware of all that stupid, Madison Avenue body type nonsense. I am aware of that. That is not this. We are painters, not photographers. We are painting fiction, not nonfiction. I don't know if you're aware of that or not. If you are writing a novel, then everything that happens in that novel has to be consistent with the world, the planet, if you will. With the world that you are projecting in your novel. Like I'll pick one of my favorite. I just forgot his name. Mitchell. The Texas, Alaska, Chesapeake. Oh, good grief! It'll come to me in a minute. Famous historical. Yeah, Mark, wasn't that funny? How just turning them around changed. Whew! It's kind of like, whew, that was close. I almost did a stupid thing. James Michener. Okay, for instance, James Michener. He's writing historical fiction, but it's fiction. It's not. He doesn't try to say that all the little ins and outs and storylines and characters and dialogue, that he's not saying that all of that actually literally happened. He just wants to make it believable. So it would be absurd if suddenly James Michener threw some any supernatural leprechauns or ghosts or any aliens that would completely violate the world that he is trying to construct for his readers. So he has to be consistent. Now, if he's writing ghost stories, then of course he can have ghosts and all kinds of crazy stuff in it, right? As long as he's consistent. Well, that's the way it is with a painter. You have to be consistent with the world that you're projecting to your people. As opposed to, let me go back to literature, as opposed to if you're a journalist or a historian and you are trying to tell people what actually happened, then it's your job to tell people what actually happened, no matter how crazy, unbelievable it may have been. For instance, there is a story, and again, I don't know if it's apocryphal or not, or a hoax, but it's not unknown. This is a story that I would think most historians of the Civil War have at least heard this story. Reportedly, I say reportedly, a musket ball went through the testicle of sorry, that was a shock, wasn't it? You didn't know we were going that way, did you? Of a soldier, and continued through the air and into the womb. This is so ridiculous, but it's reported as true, okay? No matter how crazy it is, if it actually happened, it was somebody's job to report it. Okay, so that's the difference between fiction and nonfiction. The nonfiction is supposed to tell things that actually happened, no matter how ridiculous they were. Are you with me? Or might have been. Now, of course, if it's a hoax, then it's a hoax. But there's thousands of other examples. I'm just not thinking of one at the moment where crazy things happened. I mean, history is full of that stuff.
But if you're writing fiction, now listen to me. Let's go back to that crazy jaw-dropping. Somebody can Google that. You can at least find it, and it's probably been proved wrong on Snopes. But the point is, if it happened, it needs to be reported that it happened. But if you're writing fiction, you would never put something like that in your story. Think about it. If you're saying, this is a work of fiction, and on page 3, that ridiculous thing that I just described happened, most adults would slam the book shut and say, this is stupid. This is either, adolescent pulp fiction, or this is not what this is not good literature. This is just stupid stuff. Do you see what I mean? All right, when it comes to painters, we are authors of fiction. We're not telling what could happen. We're telling what is likely to happen. Do you see the difference? And that's why we paint skinny people. Another boy, you wondered where I was going, so I almost lost my way there. But our job is not to show what people actually look like as artists, unless that's your point, and then that's a different point altogether. But generally speaking, our job is, we're like fiction writers. We're supposed to tell what is likely, or even stretching that slightly, sort of idealistic, if you will. Okay, it's time for, you know what I think I'm going to do? I'm enjoying this very much. I think I'm going to call it a day, much earlier than I thought I was going to. I'll have time to go home and practice my trumpet. Yay. This fuzz layer is much easier to do if everything on the canvas right now is dry. So much so that I think I'm just going to pack it up. I'm going to come back tomorrow. I'm going to come downtown tomorrow. I don't have to. I could finish it at home. But as you can tell, I really enjoy the energy down here. Plus, I might get some more bids and get more than $500 for the painting. But what just happened right there is when I started to do, and I knew this, I could press through, but I don't need to. So I think I'm just being wise. I'm going to pack up. All right. So our job. Let me go back to why we paint skinny people, because we're not journalists. We're not saying most Americans are overweight. Most Americans are somewhere between 15 and 400 pounds overweight. Sorry, overweight. Right? That's not our job. So we're just saying, no, these are people. People. And they're sort of like mannequins, and it's, to me, it's hilarious. When you walk down the mall, at a shopping center mall, and all these there's more women's clothing stores than everything else combined, I think. It's my impression as a man. And all the mannequins in all the windows are size 0. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, except for the, what's Lane, whatever, large women's store. There's one of those in every mall, except for that one. And the funny part is all the mannequins, and we're so used to it, we don't even notice. We don't even pay any attention. Nobody looks at the mannequin and say, "What are you doing? That is so unrealistic." But it's funny. All the mannequins are size 1, and all the people, men and women both, walking by are size, I don't know women's sizes, but 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 45. No, there's no size 45, I don't think. But anyway, you get the point. Okay, so our job is not to show the people in the mall. Our job is to show the mannequins. The other thing I was going to say, so make them skinny. Of course, make them abstract. We'll talk about that tomorrow when I come back and finish. There was something else I was going to say about them, though, tonight while I was talking about figures. Oh, I know. Yeah. You'll notice I almost always put mine in couples. 2, 2, 1, 2, 1, maybe 2, 1, 2 on the bench. And again, that is not to make single people feel bad and feel like they missed the party. Thinking that life has passed you by. Don't give up until you drink from the... I said, showing my age. Thank you, America. Dan Peak. I'm not doing that to make singles feel bad. Here's what I think. 99% other people who view this painting, it will never dawn on them that I've done. Most of my people are in pairs. It won't even dawn on them. By the way, it wouldn't be bad to have a little kid in here, would it? I've got a baby on a stroller here that you can't see yet. This almost looks like a kid. Yeah, hang on. I think I'm going to do that right now because I don't want to launch back into dark stuff tomorrow. Whoops, I just picked up a brush that was stiff. Do you ever do that? Pick up a brush and find out, oh, I didn't clean it very well last time I used it, especially if it's a good brush like this one is. Silver Grand Prix. That's a nice and fairly expensive brush. Okay, what do you do with that? Well, it'll never be quite the same, but it can be pretty close. There's brush cleaner and restorer. There's all different kinds. Hand cleaner, goop hand cleaner is a good way to go. Brush cleaner and restorer made by Winsor Newton. Then there's some stuff that's like, yeah, that's cute. Little kid there. Nice family feel. Some of it you have to soak overnight. Some of it you soaks for a week. But that's all right. You know, you weren't going to use it for a week anyway. That's why you have extra brushes. Anyway, just throw that out there when that happens to everybody. So most people won't notice they're in pairs, but it will subconsciously give the viewer a pleasant feeling. Now, if you want to make a subtle statement, you can have one person. In fact, just one person you're painting can often be very powerful. You know what? I'm sorry. I just discovered I need to do something else. Forgive me for just a minute here. I need to do there's flags up here, and I don't have them indicated at all, and they need to be shown. They need to be outlined first in dark before I can do the light stuff tomorrow. So, okay, I'm going a little bit longer. Oh, I know. I was going to tell you guys sort of a funny. I've mentioned a couple times I'm a trumpet player, and a couple months ago I was talking to one of the trumpet players at a wedding, playing in a hot band. I hear a lot of really hot bands. New York and Atlanta seem to be, my experience, and California, the hottest bands I've heard. Talked to a trumpet player, and I can't remember what it was. Just a little funny little insight into trumpet player psyche. If somebody tells you they play trumpet, or if I tell you I play trumpet, and then you ask me, oh, cool. When's the last time you practiced? I don't know why I'm telling you this. I just want you to join me in my world, my funny world. When's the last time you practiced? And if the answer wasn't yesterday, then the other trumpet player is supposed to say, oh, I see. You used to play the trumpet. Because that's just how, literally, that's how brutal the small mouthpiece brass instruments are, trumpet and French horn. If you don't practice every day, and part of the reason I'm telling you this is because I missed yesterday. So I hate to tell you, but I used to play the trumpet because I missed yesterday. So I am going to, if I miss tonight, it will be like, all right, let me look at your comments here before I go. And so that explains part of the reason why I want to pack up and go home. And because, man, if I miss 2 days, it's like literal just suicide, trumpet suicide. Susan, paint me tall and skinny. Yeah, me too. I'm right there with you. I'm fluffy. Susan, have you seen the show Put Some Color in Your Life? Or Color in Your Life? It's an Australian show. It's also new. Oh, yes, I have. Yes. At least once. And the one time I watched it, they had 3 watercolor painters one of whom was Alvaro. Forgive me, I don't know how he's from Uruguay. I don't even know how to say that right. Anyway, my favorite watercolor painter in the world is Alvaro Castanet. Maybe Castanet, I don't know. But anyway, and two other watercolor painters, and the three of them all worked together on one painting. It was a hoot. And they were all good. It was a good painting. It's like, wow, that's pretty impressive. Yeah, fun program. By the way, while I'm on the subject of Alvaro Castanet, I have a friend here in Raleigh, sweet young lady from Venezuela, who lines up teachers to come to her little studio in Raleigh. She sent out a mailer the other day, and I am flabbergasted. Now, Alvaro Castanet, in my opinion, the best watercolor painter in the world, is coming to Raleigh this summer. Wow. I used to be a watercolor painter. I might go, even though I'm mostly an oil painter. I am darn impressed. Anyway, yeah, good program. Good program. Yeah, I enjoyed it very much. Anyway, so that's why I have to go home and practice trumpet, because I don't want to commit trumpet suicide. Hey, Mark. Yeah. If we could just find out the powers, how to make me a host. Just think what I could do with a producer. Just think of my broadcast minus all the thousands of technical snafus. We can't even imagine such a thing. Susan, do you practice every day? What do you play? Piano? I think you told me one time, and I'm forgetting. One of those three, Mark, passed away. Wow. No, none of them, they weren't that old. That's always a little disturbing, isn't it? We always feel sad when somebody not very old passes away. Of course, that number gets further and further out, right? The older we get. You know, like I'm 65, I can't believe it, you know. I used to think people were 65 were like, hey, 1 foot in the grave. Well, it may be true, but I'm blissfully unaware of that subject, or that fact. All right, thanks, gang. I'm actually pretty happy with the painting. I think it'll be a fun one. It's got a lot of really fun color in it, texture, and I like the composition. So, and I'm happy about coming back tomorrow and finishing it in this wonderful energy. And it's so nice and cool right now. Probably only 85 degrees out here. No, I'm kidding. It's probably 83. Almost chilly. All right. Appreciate you guys. A lot of fun having you. Auf Wiedersehen until tomorrow. Yeah, thanks, Susan. I do like the light in this painting too. All right, y'all. Bye.